everybody, and welcome. We got Ukraine update here on the Shills. We got our usual conspirators in for action here. We got Commander McMillan. How's it going?
Pretty good.
We got Slavie in. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm really loving Trump's colors that he decided to wear this morning.
That'll have to come up. We got Secular Sekai in. How's it going?
Hey, all good.
Awesome. And we got Nick Suter in time. How's it going?
Well, thank you. How about yourself?
Good. And special guest today, somebody I met on Bluesky. Remember, dump Twitter, get to Bluesky. We've got Brit in Ukraine joining us. How's it going, Brit? Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's give everybody a little introduction to yourself and what you're doing. I mean, he's not going to be giving you any secret information in here or anything, people. You can see, I mean, we're playing the secret security game here. But let everybody know who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, give some basics. So I come to Ukraine in early 2023. I volunteered with a couple of NGOs, and after that, I went and joined the International Legion. I served there for some time, went home for Christmas, and I come back and joined the regular army of Ukraine. And, since then I've been working.
Awesome. So you're like, right in the thick of things. And we're doing some fundraising for yourself and your unit as well. So let's get to that right away so people know that there's some worthwhile places to put some dollars.
Yeah, I mean, it's direct. And as a normal person, you don't really like to ask. And it doesn't feel great. But, if it happens, I really would appreciate it, and it really would go to good use. And currently, I'm trying to raise money to purchase a thermal optic.
Right.
All do. And purchase a thermal optic for work. And it really would be a massive help. So if anyone could,
yes.
Yeah, I really would appreciate it.
And let's get the links up here. I forgot to get things all ready in the beginning. I don't have a link ready. I bet the team has some links ready. Where the hell are they? 1 second, everybody. Sorry.
What Dick has done here is he's disabled the graphics for everyone else, so we can all do that hard thing, and it doesn't work. And he actually had to flick a switch in the back to turn that off. He turned off all the functionality. We have zero control. We are like sheep in here, and he just it's really he's a control freak, and I don't know why you like it. But.
Don't blame me for Tim Cook.
Man, no, don't pull your punches, Nick. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. All right. So we've got the link in. There's a direct PayPal me link for Brit in Ukraine. And he's on Bluesky. You'll see the results of the fundraising because there'll be a picture of the purchase, that kind of thing, the whole bit. You know how we are around here, everybody. We know where the dollars are going. You don't have to be concerned about that with us. Let's just see if we can't get some equipment into the right hands. And I know for a fact that what we call it the boom boom fund around here, right? Well, Brit in Ukraine and those guys, they've made some stuff go boom. So it's a very apt description this week.
Unfortunately, yes.
So let's see here. For the whole, just chitter chatter part of the show here, there's some stuff we should start with. Should we touch on this whole thing in Syria quick so we can just toss it under the rug and get back to normal? That's a good way to do this, isn't it? Right?
I think so.
Yeah. So who wants put your hand up if you want to start. I'm putting my hand down. I'm not 100% up on this. Commander, you want to take us?
I'm putting his hand up. The thing is so much,
I'm being volunteered again. Situation in Ukraine. The situation in Syria is kind of continuing as it did last week, where the various factions within the rebel alliance, and there are a plethora of them, and many of them have very different objectives in how this is going, but they're making very good progress. Last week, they took Aleppo. This week, they progressed to the point where they took another significant city, which is Hama. It looks like they're making good progress towards getting towards Damascus. We know that the Russian base at Tartus is conducting what I would call a limited withdrawal. So all the ships that have been based there have been ordered to sea. They're boxing up their air defenses. So the S-400 anti-aircraft missile system, that's been crated and is put aboard transports to be evacuated. They're probably going to try to get it, to go into Ukraine because they're having problems there. The troops are still there, but there's more and more indication that that's going to be changing and that they may be going. For example, an advisory was issued that any Russian citizens in Syria should evacuate. So this is private citizens, not government contractors and such. So they're all leaving. Assad left 2 weeks ago, and there's no sign that he's likely to return. So everything's just going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, yeah.
He left to go to Moscow, and now he's in Abu Dhabi. So
Yeah.
I don't think that meeting in Moscow went very well because Putin wasn't even there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he asked for help to stabilize the situation, and whoever he talked to looked at him and said, "Dude, we're having our own problems. You ain't getting nothing from us."
I think Assad's regime is feeling very much like Yerevan in the 2023 war that didn't last very long because Russia doesn't exactly stand by its commitments to others. It's got its own.
Say it ain't so.
I think another thing I'd highlight just briefly about this, so it's not forgotten about, is aside from Assad's regime collapsing, Turkish support to different groups that are specifically beneficial to them, I'd say more so than to Russia or Iran, is still continuing. And the threat to Kurdish people, to many people, Kurds included, is ramping up. So it's a complicated war with a lot of factions, but it's a situation where a lot of people are going to suffer.
We know that one of the largest Turkish-backed factions is not in the drive heading towards Damascus. Instead, they're operating in eastern Syria, driving into the Turkish areas. So they definitely have their own agenda.
I don't think Turkey cares about stability in Syria whatsoever.
No,
All they care about is wiping out. What's the name of the group? Because there's so many of them. The SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces, the majority Kurdish force. Yeah. So that's all they care about. They're just paranoid about anything that'll, affect their own government.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much ancient hate in some of those areas over there, man. Wow.
Yeah. Somebody asked in the chat stream about U.S. involvement. As far as we know right now, there isn't any. I know we do have at least one or two bases inside Syria in that side where they were monitoring ISIS type activities. It would not surprise me that they're providing covert support to some of the factions, but it hasn't come out. It's important to understand that the Kurds are not a unified group themselves.
Yep.
There are multiple factions within the Kurdish resistance movements who spend a lot of time shooting at one another. And this goes back to the Versailles Treaty back in the 1919, because the Allied powers wanted to found a Kurdish state, but they couldn't find anybody to stand up and speak for the Kurdish people because they were so busy engaged in their internecine feuding.
Yeah. And I want to say this also, as far as U.S. involvement goes, I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong. Maybe there's information I don't have. But I don't think that's going to happen unless Hezbollah's influence and ties in Syria somehow stabilize for them to come out on top, because pushing back against the Lebanese pressure on Israel is something that the Trump administration would probably have an interest in. That's the only way I see the states getting involved.
And another thing that's worth noting is that the rebel groups that are moving in are mostly Sunni. Assad's regime is Shia. And Assad's regime was allowing Iran to smuggle arms and support through Syria into Lebanon. If Syria falls to the rebels, that overland supply route to Hezbollah in Lebanon is effectively cut.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to severely limit the Iranian ability to influence events in that region.
Oh, yeah, because for Iran, it's always just like Iran's simplest way I can put it is they look at Azerbaijan, which is also Shia, and say, we don't know why you don't like us. So they try to turn Lebanon and Syria into, Shia regimes like theirs that would work more closely with them. Yeah. Anyway, well, I think we've gone over this topic a lot, and that's just the glossing over the surface. So
Very much so.
maybe do we want to move over to something else before we go down the rabbit hole of Syria any further?
Yeah, I figure that's about enough of that hole we need to get into right now. Otherwise, it might overtake, and
The horse has died. Stop flogging the corpse.
Yeah. So let's switch it around here. We'll do a couple of shout outs here. Let me just test something. Okay. Instead of explosions for super chats, I've got applause programmed in. See, that's probably better, right? So we've got Petra Olsen with Swedish kroners, 129 of them, with love to Ukraine. Thank you so much. Johnny Nedregard with Norwegian kroners, 22 of them. To see drones launching air drones, Slava Ukraine. I kind of like that. We got Yvonne Way with a super chat in here. For the boom boom fun. Thank you so much, Yvonne. We've got Niles G in with a message, but there's nothing there. Niles, tag me in the chat if you want to say something, but thank you. Darren Bond came in with one as well. Yay, Slavie. Oh no, Nick. And then Dunk on You 23 threw in a $20 direct Ko-Fi donation there for the whole fund. Can't stay, life stuff. Wanted to say hello to everybody. And if you can get this to Brit, get it over there. Have a good stream. It's going over as soon as the show's done. Thanks, Dunk on You. Awesome. I think we're already caught up. Unless, no, we're not. Demetrius Siganovas came in as well. $10 direct donation. Greetings from Lithuania, Slava Ukraine. And into the fund that goes for Brit as well. Thank you there, Demetrius. Awesome. So where do you guys want to turn to start our proper show here now that we've, discussed Syria for a minute there?
We could talk about,
Paris?
What happened in Paris?
Oh, they did.
Macron, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't asking you to dinner, dude.
Zelensky met with Macron, and Duda also was there, and Trump wearing Ukrainian flag colors. And of course, he's always wearing his red tie, and not today. So this is definitely not a coincidence. It was very much intentional.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh yeah, and by the way, we'll have Slavie's link in the chat there. Make sure you're getting over to subscribe. A lot of good content you're missing out on if you're not there. So I think the internet as a whole is kind of getting over the fact, okay, Trump won, we have to deal with what we've got, and that's not quite the focus. And I think for like a few days, everybody just kind of lost direction because, well, that was the focus for so long. I think some people were just like, what the hell? Like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't think he knows what to do in his monologues for his show anymore. He's just lost. He's like a puppy that can't find its human, But in Ukraine, everything's just, go, go, go. Hopefully Zelensky and the team can sort out that stuff, right? So,
yeah, I know that as far as the meeting between Zelensky and Trump goes, I had heard. I've been hearing that a lot of people were focusing on a picture of Zelensky smiling after he left. So I think some people are trying to say maybe that's a good sign, but I feel like it's way too early to know anything for certain.
Yeah. Nick, Commander Brit, let's of the events of the week, because we're only doing this weekly. What anything that you were like, I definitely want to make sure we get to this?
Well, the CEO shooting is the one that I'm thinking of, and it mainly because whenever somebody is shot and killed, whenever there's a tragedy, you see memes on the internet about it, and it's I think humor is a coping mechanism. We're all afraid of death, and we all, But one of the interesting things that a lot of people have noted is that the number of memes about this one is significantly higher than most, and the memes are much more personal and sort of brutal, and well, you kind of had it coming, kind of, and it's and there was what was it? I got right before coming here, I got a notification from, actually, I probably still have it, but there was a report of security companies finding their calls by CEOs going up 700% in 3 days. CEOs asking for security, and what that suggests to me, and especially when you look at the nature of the memes, and in part because this was actually a political assassination on one level or another, and the way you know that is because he wrote into the bullets, denied, so this wasn't.
Yeah.
He was trying to send a message well beyond whoever this guy is, maybe his daughter, his dad, who knows. It may also be, I would not be surprised if he was not even directly affected by United Healthcare. He just got so sick of the system, but he's sending a message, and it's like people are sitting there going, I don't know how to feel about this one. And that's an interesting thing to observe in American culture, where people aren't just jumping on board the what a tragedy. I'm just like, whoa. I don't know, Commander. I see you nodding your head, so I assume you've noticed the same.
There was a question I missed, Commander. Before we continue, there was a question I missed from Professor Gerdes in the chat there. If we just backpedal a tiny bit to the intro of the show, what we were talking about there, how crippling is this loss for Russian force projection, not just the Med, but to Africa, etc.?
Yeah, it can't be overstated how much of an impact this is going to have. And not just in terms of the physical base itself, which allowed the Russians to project power through the Med fairly easily, and, by extension into the Middle East and into Africa. But from a prestige standpoint, it's going to be huge for their diplomatic efforts to recover from something like this, because it basically points out to everybody that they're such a weak country at this point that they can't even sustain their military base in their strongest ally of the region. So I think that's important to consider.
Well, I wanted to. This is a great transition. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Quick question: will that affect in any way, do you think, China in regards to wanting to be Russia's ally? Because China, I know, is kind of hoping Russia rebounds and then they have a strong ally. But if at this point it looks like Russia's circling the drain, is China going to start to step back, do you think? Or will this play any calculation in the math for them, or are they none of their business?
It will be something that they are sure to exploit, but how they do it, I don't think we can say yet. But this is a classic case of when the situation changes and a vacuum results, somebody is going to move into that vacuum to take over that situation. So I fully expect that once the situation in Syria sorts itself out, there'll be a second civil war between all the factions to see who gets to be the guys in charge of ruling the country. And then when that's done, that likely is the point when the Chinese will make a move to try to become big buddy to the new government. But they're unlikely, I think, to get involved when you're in the midst of that civil war, because who knows which faction's going to move into the commanding position. And if you give your goodies to the wrong side, well, then the guy who wins is not going to be predisposed to be friendly to you.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've got a major shout out. Joe Medley in the chat sent in a cool $100 for Brit's fund. Big shout out, Joe. Thank you very much indeed. I love shouts like that. That gets things rolling. Thanks, Joe. I've got a question for Brit when he gets back. We'll give him a second here. Did anybody else want to tag on to that before we...
I'm just glad somebody else didn't make a snide comment about how Slavie has nicer cheekbones than I do or something. Because so there's only so much I can do. Okay?
We know how insecure you are, Nick. It's all good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
With prosthesis
now. So where else were we going here? There was a couple of things.
Well, there's a couple directions. There's the protests in Georgia, Republic of Georgia, not the state, U.S. state. There's some developments in the Luhansk region I was looking over earlier in my stream that are a little concerning, like a crossing of a river. So I had some concern, hoping that the Russians will be pushed back across that river again, so they don't get back behind Ukrainian forces over there.
Yeah.
But it would still take them a long time to fight their way down south. But still, it's not a good development. So what do you all think? I feel like we should get onto the topic of stuff happening on the ground in Ukraine a bit.
Well, here, I wanted to bring this one up. The new domestically produced rocket drone, Peklo. Is that how it's pronounced? Peklo?
Yeah, Ukrainian for hell.
Yeah. It's got a 700-kilometer range, 430 miles, more than twice the range of the longest range attributed to missiles supplied by Western allies.
And it's the homegrown Ukrainian.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to that because Brit's back here. Brit, we were talking about Russia, basically having to run away Syria and whatnot. In your last couple of weeks, doing what you do over there, taking care of business, how do you perceive the Russian forces? Have you come across any like North Koreans? Are they like my imagination is they're somewhat defeated people, kind of just like, what's
No, the amount of North Korea. I'm really yet to come across.
No way. I was wondering, but in your interactions, I guess we could call them, would you say there's like morale issues, blah, blah, bad training? Like, how do you perceive the enemy right now as you're sort of confronting them and whatnot? That's the way I'm trying to ask this question. Yeah.
I think our training's excellent. I think the enemy is also very well trained. In terms of our morale, we're very, very strong with our morale. We just want to get the job done and honestly just live another day and eventually see our families, to be honest.
Yeah, I have...
I was going to ask, I have a question I want to ask, not to highlight negative things, but just for information to see if this is something, because you were saying in your unit morale has been really high, right? Right, Brit?
Yes, sir.
With other units, if you've come in contact with them that maybe have lower morale, has there been any issues with desertions?
Yes, it does happen. I see they recently made a law which allows people to come back. They do go away and come back. But we have a lot of humor within our unit. We have jokes. We have a lot of laughter, and yeah, it definitely helps. Definitely helps.
Good. And has that new law, has it been well received? Have people, you know, basically, I guess, have more people been coming back?
As they say, Jan knows now. I do not know.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I was just curious.
Mhm.
All right. But Dick, what
Yes.
direction do you want to take the conversation?
Well, Brit, have you heard anything about the Peklo there, the new rocket drone?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I had a look earlier today, actually.
Yeah,
Very good.
it
Might
looks.
do the job.
God, it looks like some cool shit, doesn't it? I really hope it's as effective as it sounds. With that kind of range and stuff, you guys should be able to fuck some shit up with that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
locally, since they're making it local, it doesn't matter whether we give permission or not. It doesn't matter if Trump revokes permission on the attackums. If it, so there's that huge bonus as well.
I love that grenade.
Yeah, man.
Me too. I'm ready to use it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I guess I've got a conversation direction we could take it. So I was reading an interesting article the other day, and this is one that some of our audience might like the idea, some might be opposed to it, but it's one that American supporters of Ukraine are going to have to think about in the coming months after January. Effective means of psychological profiling to maximize support for Ukraine among the incoming administration. So what do y'all think? I think most people here might say, with one particular person who, with Trump, it's probably more about giving the man something that he can state, like he's the one making a big difference, playing the hero, like
I've met a lot of Trump supporters here, and
Mhm.
It really would be good if a lot of their own people actually supported them.
Yeah.
Or were aware,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
It's
missed
just
that last.
I said, there's a lot of Trump supporters here, and I think it's a shame that they do miss the support. And a lot of people at home just don't know. They just say silly things,
No, yeah. But I guess just altogether, what do you guys think would be the best way to get maximum support from the incoming administration among any of the people incoming?
Tie Trump to a chair and beat him with a stick.
That's not to maximize the pleasure of. No, we're talking something else, Dick. Get your mind out of the gutter. I have to say, I was extremely worried about it. I'm still worried about it, but I'm a lot less worried about it when I saw Zelensky talking with Trump, because the last few times, especially in his first administration when they met, Trump looked like Trump, sort of braggadocious and like, well, I'm in charge here, and and Zelensky did not look pleased. And it was me that Trump did not understand what the problem was or anything. From their last discussion, Trump was sort of being his usual braggadocious self, but Zelensky was looking very pleased. And I'm not convinced that it's because he was. I think it's because he realized that's one way that you get to Trump, is you play to his ego and you talk in ways that explain how important he is and what his administration and what the future will talk about that he has accomplished if he gets the Ukrainian rare earth metals and these things. And by the way, I know Russia was funneling you money. That's perfectly fine. I'd do that if I was in your shoes too. Ukraine can help you with that,
Yeah.
And I basically felt that Zelensky, because he is such an imposing and really kind of heroic figure, that he might have too much pride to kind of get down on the Trump level and talk to Trump. And what he did instead was he just somehow seems to have met Trump and said, okay, let's look eye to eye at your level and let me talk to you in a way you can understand. And it looks like it's working.
Yeah,
that's blowing my mind, because I was already impressed with Zelensky. And if Zelensky can go from meeting with leaders of
Orange
genuine
pig.
integrity to meeting with Trump and still be successful, it's like, yeah, Churchill. I'm sorry. He's another Churchill. I mean, this is insane. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling better about it. I'm still nervous, but I'm feeling better just by watching what looks to me like Zelensky massaging Trump in the right way. Yeah.
Zelensky has figured out that as long as you massage the orange shit-gibbons ego, he's more than happy to be your buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, I want to say, I think there's, in addition to that, there's probably two other things, and I don't know if these are part of discussions, but in my mind would be good for a strategy when discussing things with Trump or those around him. One is whether it's bilateral, just between Ukraine and the US, or multilateral, involving other European countries who are allies of Ukraine, willing to get involved and jump on board to even better improve possible business discussions on what would be provided, sold, lend lease, whatever the case might be, to Ukraine. I think that there's also the argument to be said, you have this thing about China and tariffs and all of that. And you know who Russia does a lot of business with? The whole world does, but beyond just China. You know, they're literally one of the members of BRICS. I think if you can highlight a lot of the negatives of a lot of the positives of siding and doing business with Ukraine and the negatives of Russia, aside from the fact that they're horrible human rights, trampling upon fascist regime.
Stab you in the back, throw you out a window kind of folk, you know?
Exactly. But if you can highlight those two things, I think you could get Trump more heavily on board.
The windows were always just open. It was an accident. Every single one of the now 67
it's
falling out the windows.
These people
are you trying to indict gravity, Dick? Come on.
But have these people not heard of glass? Don't they have something in the window to keep people from falling
the
out?
manufacturer now. You're blaming the manufacturer. Jesus. You have
product flaw. We can sue for big money.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got some questions here that we can get to, and as always, anybody chime in on any topic, right? Whitefishy one there. Thoughts on not arresting Lavrov in Malta? I don't think that was ever going to happen, right? That's just. They sign papers and then they can all make their announcements and go, okay, we did our thing, and then they all go to bed, right?
Speaking of the sad horse, have you guys seen the Fucker Tucker interview with the sad horse?
No.
I heard about it.
I'm starting to feel like I'm regretting not seeing it.
Yeah.
I heard about a new interview with Fucker Carlson, but I didn't know there was a dead horse involved.
Oh, it's Lavrov. I call it sad. I call him it.
Oh, I see.
He looks like a sad horse.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, I can only imagine their Chucker Carlson was talking with his mouth full before that interview started.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, there is a big push with getting all these American influencers. Now we have a Lex Friedman interview coming up with both Putin and Zelensky. So we're gonna see a big push on like American influencers trying to do everything they can so Ukraine loses the support. And most likely will be another push on getting Zelensky out of power for Ukraine. They're not going to make it happen, but we're going to need to get our guard up and start fighting back.
Somebody has to know the name of this guy. I've forgotten what his name. He was a famous Jewish man who decided that rather than go to the ghettos and risk getting gassed, that he was actually going to work with the Nazis. And so he worked with the Nazis to help identify Jewish people and all of this other stuff. And then once the war was coming to an end, they said, well, we don't need you anymore. So they sent him to Auschwitz. And he's just like, wait a minute. I was your man this whole time. Like, yeah, you're still a Jew.
Yeah.
Sorry. And
Yeah.
I that's what I forget what his name, but there was a specific
Martin Niemöller. He was a pastor in Germany.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when I think of Tucker Carlson and I think of other American people who are I'm like, what you need to understand is Russia right now is in a really bad place, and with some luck, maybe they'll crumble enough that a few more states will break off or something. Fine. They have wanted us wiped off the face of the map for a very long time, and that has not changed. And that is who you are working with.
Yeah.
That is who you are working with. So one way or another. Secular, could you give me his name again one more time? Because it keeps...
I don't... Niemöller. Martin Niemöller.
Martin Niemöller. That was it. I got to write that one down because I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I think that's what I think of when it's Tucker Carlson's... Wow.
And for anyone unfamiliar with the quote, it's because there's a famous quote from him. It goes, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
How was the same guy?
Yep, same guy. That was after he was taken and put into a camp. Yeah. Anyway.
We'll wish Tucker the best of luck. May he not do interviews near open windows.
Oh, apparently also Tucker got only 9 million for that interview, and there was 30 mil getting located to for that interview. So,
yeah,
I kind of suspect that Tucker may find that his visa has been altered so that he doesn't get to ever leave the country.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I think that it may end up being something like that because he's a useful idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know who else I can think of who, to the best of my knowledge, is not allowed to leave Muscovia anymore? That would be Snowden, Edward Snowden. No one's talked about him for a minute, but I'm pretty sure he's still just stuck. I don't think he has. Yeah, he's still stuck over there.
Yeah, living in some dingy little apartment and watched daily by somebody from the FSB.
Yeah. That would be what an existence, Yep. A couple of shout outs I'll do here. Heather Wiley in the chat there. Direct tip there, $10 for Brit's unit. Thank you so much. It'll get sent right over. There was a direct Ko-Fi coffee place, whatever it's called. White Fishy one here for Brit's cause, Slava Ukraine. $20. So excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. There is another one that it's just taking forever to show up in the stupid list. It comes up as a tip for $6.66, but it says anonymous, and I'm pretty sure that it shouldn't be. So in the live chat, if you did the 666 tip, let us know so I can give you a shout out, because
would it be Satan?
Hey, I've got that.
Could it be Satan?
I've even got that one loaded. I never thought to use it. That's awesome. Yeah, and then we've also got a super chat here too from Johnny Nevergard there. Norwegian kroners, 52 of them too. Restrictions on U.S. and German gear. No restrictions on Iranian and Korean gear. Danger for all of us, not only for Ukraine. I agree 100%. And big shake. Thanks for the super chat there as well. But I totally agree. And you've got all this now where, it turns out they've been doing screw with people on grassroots levels in cities and stuff for years. And they're doing all this other, when does everybody go? Escalation is not the threat you just got to stop them no matter what, and never mind the threats, right? When does that come?
At the beginning, and we blew it.
Good point.
I mean, I'll be honest, when it comes to the general public, if you can't convince them of obvious things that's really easy public knowledge to access and not to vote against their own interests sometimes, I don't think you're ever going to convince the public to pay close attention to covert Cold War sociopolitical hybrid warfare.
Very true.
Yeah. Especially when they're too busy watching Jersey Shore.
Well,
Oh,
I
God.
think the one that really highlights it is the fact that at some point, Fox News actually admitted it is not a news station; it is an entertainment station.
Yeah.
Infotainment. With
Yeah, and at that point, everybody should have said, "Well, why the hell am I watching you? Because you're
I
obviously
know.
lying about." But people don't care; they want to hear what they want to hear.
They want to be in an echo chamber where their beliefs are repeated back to them, because then everybody feels good about
right
themselves.
all along.
Exactly.
Look, it's on TV.
Fox's defense in that court case, Fox's defense, aside from that, was you cannot sue us for defamation because nobody could actually believe what we say and take it seriously. And they won that defense.
Yeah.
They won in court.
The FTC should instantly say to them, you have to take news off the show title now. You can't do that anymore.
The FTC can't, because they only regulate what goes over the air. That somebody has to change that.
I know.
You guys are still talking as though the U.S. justice system hasn't become a circus.
Do not burst my bubble, Sekai. Don't, please. I am this close from Prozac, Xanax, and the rest of the cocktail, and just don't say it. Don't go there. Please.
Right.
Bad choice of word, because circuses are fairly organized. This is like a carnival.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of questions here from the viewers. It wasn't me in the chat. I read Russia may have difficulties recruiting as many soldiers as they need at the moment. What does everybody think? And, what are the signs of more North Koreans getting sent over? Like, because if they can't recruit their own people, they probably buy North Koreans by what? 5 rubles on the for every 50 pounds they weigh or something,
I mean, I'll
jump possible.
Oh, go ahead, Brit.
Yeah, please.
It's very possible, but there's a lot of Russians, and you know what forced conscription's like.
That's what I was thinking, Brit, because they'll just literally start grabbing them off the damn streets and throwing them in trucks. So right?
I think they've already, there's been videos of them raiding nightclubs and in Moscow. So that's pretty big.
They've taken the kid gloves off. It used to be that anybody in Moscow and St. Petersburg was relatively safe from getting conscripted, because it was all about protecting that core ethnic Russian group. They're not doing that quite so much anymore. They're now making efforts to recruit forcibly in those big cities.
Oh.
Well, and the other problem, and commanders mentioned this more than once, is the sort of psychological, the learned helplessness of the Russian mind, and the idea that life is kind of meaningless and doesn't have value in the first place. So the whole Russian mindset is very dark and dreary and lifeless, and they don't offer resistance in the same way that Americans would to being told what to do. And I mean, we're at the other end of it, right? I mean, we're the ones with the you take 12 of the fireworks, wrap them around each arm, and go, America, man. But you're going to have a hard time telling Americans what to do. You don't have nearly so hard a time telling Russians what to do, and they may sit there and go like, yeah, I'm getting on the bus, and be gloomy about it. But it's like, I hope I'm not mischaracterizing you, Commander, but I think that's.
Oh, no. It's definitely a misery and woe is our lot in life. There's nothing we can do to change it.
Yeah. Russia's not going to be facing a manpower shortage. They may have some domestic political unrest if they declare another major mobilization effort, which is why they don't want to declare it. They just want to do it quietly.
Yeah.
In enough numbers that people maybe don't notice, which is weird to say, but yeah. I think the bigger thing when it comes to long-term deterrence of Russia, rather than the increased suffering of the populace, of course, you need to find ways to destabilize the politics and the regime, but also with regards to the war, obviously what we've already been doing, supporting Ukrainian armed forces, soldiers, those who are, officially part of the armed forces, who are out there fighting, like Brit's doing. In addition, and this is more of a thing, I think, for the Ukrainian government and intelligence agencies to continue to do and ramp up in the years to come, support for partisans. I mean, behind the lines, those who are trapped in the occupied territories, making the occupiers' lives a living fucking hell. That's going to be crucial because eventually, if you're trying to occupy all of these lands, and it's very clear, there are people here, maybe even who in the future would be born in occupied territories who don't want you there, and that never goes away. That resistance, that's a cost that'll be really fucking high for the fake federation.
Damn right.
I'm really curious what Brit's view of Russian morale among the soldiers on the other side of the trenches is like.
Hmm.
You could say it's very dark and gloomy, and you could also say it's very similar. A lot of humor and laughter. They don't really have a choice. It's either suffer or be happy and get on with your job.
Yeah. We'll know it's bad when they start forming blocking detachments again.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, real quick, I know Dick just walked away. I am about to run late for another meeting, so I gotta go, everybody. But everyone who's listening, keep supporting Ukraine. Always good to see all of y'all. And Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Later. See ya. Good to see you too.
Dear Lord, well, if Dick had told me that he was going to leave, and normally he's actually, what he does is he texts me and says, "Do you mind taking over the show?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." Like, I prepared loads of notes because I was ready to do your job. But now he just bails, and now everyone's looking at me like, "Aren't you the co-host?" No, I'm a guest. Nobody told me I was going to be doing squat. Listen, I don't come to the shills to do heavy lifting, is what I'm saying. But I would only say that when Nick's not here, because I know he can't hear he doesn't take his cans with him. So, I'm sure he's not hearing or listening to any of this. And if anyone in the live chat spills the beans. Brit, I was going to ask, so you had said that you were looking for, one of the things that your unit wanted was thermals. Is that correct for your? So what other? Sorry, I didn't catch that. What?
Thermal optics for the weapon scope, particularly.
All right. And was there anyone else who was going on? I do know we also have Viper has come into the chat, and he's a regular guest here, and he has got an ongoing an ongoing fundraiser that I did want to mention, and I'm hoping someone can drop the link to that. They're looking for the Mavic drones that also have thermals on them, and they send those drones out to do recon before a mission or while they're on a mission to make sure that they're not getting snuck up on from behind. So those Mavic drones are lifesavers. They're very, very important. So, thank you, Chris Lundy. I think just dropped that in the chat. I am going to be starting a fundraiser. Those of you who know In Time know we don't normally do fundraisers. We will donate super chats to if we have a guest on, we'll do that. But we don't actually do fundraisers. We have changed that policy. We are doing a new fundraiser. It is the Get Dick a Babysitter fundraiser. And the goal of this fundraiser is for shows like The Shills to be able to function without the host just getting up and walking away because, you know, either he needs to deal with his child or he just doesn't care about what happens to his stream. So
I'd like to say, sorry if I got some people just come back from work, so I don't want to seem rude, but I might go black on the screen for a moment.
all right, please do whatever you need to do. And I'm actually getting a DM here, so I'm just going to quickly. We do have some. Okay, so now Dick isn't kidding when he says that he's got a team. They're like, okay, Nick's drowning, he's floundering. Someone reach out to him, and they've sent me now the questions from the live chat, so I can at least get these asked. Those of you that know me know I'm an idiot, but those of you who've never been here before, maybe I can look like I'm professional and know what I'm doing. So that's really this is thank you guys for exactly.
And he's back.
Oh, Dick, and we never mentioned we didn't say I didn't say nothing while you were gone.
I had to run upstairs quick there. My little one, not so little anymore, needed some attention, but all good. All good.
No problem.
Okay. I got a couple shout outs and stuff I can gear up in the background here. Am I interrupting? Did anybody want to?
I just got, so I quickly did another roundabout on the fundraisers. I asked Brit about his. I mentioned Vipers, and then Annette was nice enough to send me the questions for the live answer, so I was going to go into some of those, but we didn't get to any of them yet, and that's where we are.
All right. So yeah, Brit just needs a second there. We're all good.
And Brit did say some people were coming back from a mission, so he was gonna, didn't want to be rude, and I think he does intend on coming back.
Okay. Lynn's definition there sent in a $20 direct one there into the fundraiser pilot goes. Thank you so much. We had UTV and Ham there in the chat as well. Sent in 27 direct for the fundraiser today for Brit. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Awesome. I think there's one other alert that I got, but I can't find it because the one service we use for all these alerts seems to just literally be on vacation today. I don't know what's going on. So I bet there's one that'll kick in here in a minute or so. It's just one of those things. I can't control it. Where should we go then next? We've got, let's see, we're just coming up on an hour, and I got about 30 minutes after that. And I think somebody's getting a little bit revved up and escalated today, so I'm going to have to get hands on soon. But I'm sure we got like a good 30 minutes there. Yeah, Martin, he definitely is. It's awesome. So there was a few topics I wanted to get into, but I didn't make notes enough. So maybe we should just go to questions so that I have a moment to regroup and make sure I'm settled here.
I have some news to talk about. Romania. I said last week let's keep an eye out on Romania, but remember the pro-Russian guy? He went through the first round of elections, and he was elected thanks to TikTok. And what they've done now, Romania, thank God, is that they annulled him. So he's out of the game. Romania, EU wins, and Russia loses again. So this is great news, and great news for Ukraine, because obviously Romania plays a huge role for helping Ukraine. And yep. So that's the news I wanted to kind of maybe talk about. What you guys think?
I was totally listening to everything you said. I was not reading something else or being rude. But I have actually a very good answer. I don't want to make everyone else here look bad, so I will let them answer, and I will just modestly sit back and watch. Or Dick will come back and
I didn't turn on my speakers that time. I don't know
so
what I missed.
It was the question was, and I was actually reading. I was gearing up for a user chat, and there's a couple of chats, but the question was was it Romania?
Romania, yeah.
The Romanian guy who passed the first round of votes basically due to TikTok and is and then please finish the question, Slavie.
Yeah, this guy, pro-Russian puppet, came out of nowhere, won the first round of elections in Romania. And now what Romania has done, they annulled him going any further, aka Russia instilling their puppets any further. So, and it's the first country that's ever done that. So it's great news, as they should have. And yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, with the history, Romania and all, Ceausescu and everything, the last thing they need is some asshole puppet to a dictating ass, you know.
Well, it's interesting because that's actually not in some ways all that different. It's interesting seeing countries that have former dictators. So there's Ceausescu from Romania, and then there's South Korea, who, as soon as their president started to make it look like he was coming back as a strong man, they're like, "You're done. it's over." And
You done, bro.
yeah, that was a mistake. Martial law was, and it turns out it is the record for the shortest martial law.
Yeah.
What happened with that, by the way? I didn't quite get it. They instilled martial law, and then an hour later, they took. Why did that happen?
Well, what he said why it happened was because he was concerned about North Koreans influencing and infiltrators and all this other stuff. The real reason is because his wife is basically facing indictment. He's done all sorts of, he barely escaped indictment through a loophole when he was, I think, their attorney general. And so he decided he was going to make a power grab. He, at 11 p.m., when everybody was home, said martial law, and then he surrounded the building, the parliament building, so they couldn't go in and vote and overturn it.
Yeah.
And what happened was the civilians came out and like built human bridges so members of their government could go in, and they got 190 into the building, voted unanimously to overturn his martial law, which they have the power to do. And that was it. He was forced to rescind.
Did you see the one clip? This like 30-year-old woman, she's like what, 5'5", just a small little chick, walked right up to one of the military dudes with the big, huge machine gun and just grabbed it by the muzzle and said, "What are you going to do? Shoot me?"
Well, and there was actually some great footage of after it had been rescinded, one of the people attacking one of the military police, and it was a civilian attacking, and the guy just turned around and pushed him back, and then 3 other military police grabbed the guy and then hugged him and just started crying. And you're sitting there going like, the military police were doing their jobs. They didn't want to see they were as delighted that this got overturned, and then you could see it, and the civilians kind of surprised.
Yeah,
and they're all just like patting him on the shoulder and going, it's okay, it's over, we're done.
Yeah,
nobody got hurt. So it was a pretty amazing thing to see.
Yeah, very much.
Also, we have a revolution in Georgia that's been going on for the last 2 weeks, I believe. Europe is standing up, at least Eastern Europe. No one is having it anymore. Russia's done. We really are failing.
Yeah.
And Assad, to me, was the one that got away. Because with this the Arab Spring, and Assad during the Arab Spring looked really strong. So I was concerned, but I was optimistic because so many other Middle Eastern countries were having a revolution. And then Obama said, well, if Assad uses gas, that's a red line. And I was just like, ooh, he just lied there.
Yeah,
I learned how to tell when Obama's lying. I was like, I can tell he's lying, and I really hope nobody else can. Well, Assad figured it out. So for me, Assad was the one that got away. There was the Arab Spring was almost perfect.
Yeah,
except Assad, and now the idea that it feels like unfinished business that has finally been cleaned up.
Mm.
The trouble is we don't know what's going to emerge from it. it could actually be worse than he is.
That's true, but I'm going to be optimistic, and I was with Assad the first time, and I was wrong. They didn't get him out, but between the other good points that Slavie was bringing up, I was just so like, it feels like it's cleaning house. It feels like it's and yeah, it may end up worse. That's true, and I think that's
you're adopting the optimist glasses half full. Other people will adopt the glasses half empty, and I'm adopting the glass has a serious leak and we have no way to patch it.
And is rigged with C4 explosives.
Yeah.
So we have to disarm
Didn't
before
want
we
to
can even
mention
look at
that
the
till we frighten the audience.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions here. Here we've got a couple for Brit. So one is Whitefishy one. Have you encountered?
Well done.
Oh, okay.
He was showing us his C4.
Oh, cool. I should have been paying attention. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, what's your question?
No worries. Have you encountered any Ukrainians, like as an example, Donbass or anywhere, that have been forced to fight for Russia?
No, I've found Russian citizens who are fighting for Ukraine, actually. For people whose parents belong to Russia, so it's actually quite nice to see.
Yeah, that would be like uplifting for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We sing Ukrainian songs, and yeah, they're very good people.
Cool.
I've heard mixed reports about that, so I'm curious to learn a little bit more about that. What I've heard is that yes, in general, they get well received, and especially after the initial, it was actually Russians who did the first incursion into Kursk, so that they can get well received and like a recognition that they have essentially given up their lives to go help fight for Ukraine, but that there still can be, it's just natural to have resentment. You hear the Russian accent, even if they're speaking Ukrainian, you know that it's their brothers and sisters that are trying to kill you, and that there are people who are having a genuinely hard time overcoming that when somebody is from who's an actual Russian who has defected and said, no, I'm here to help you because I detest what my country is doing so much.
Yeah.
Is that have you seen that? Is there much of that? Is that
Yeah, often a lot of people have shared families, on either side of the borders. And I've heard many times that it's not nice fighting against people who could be your relatives and just happen to be so sometimes.
Yeah. That just the thought of, did I just, aim at somebody that, that'd be very much.
Did they aim at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Right. We had another one here from Elvin Archer for you, Brit. If you have seen or used any of the Smart Shooter anti-drone rifle optical systems.
I've seen. Personally, I haven't used. It was a good bit of kit.
Yeah.
I wish technology would advance much more. Drones are truly terrifying, to be honest. And bed's always nice. I'm sure you can understand.
The sound of a drone, that sound is going to give some PTSD for a long time after this conflict, right?
Yeah, it's not very nice at all.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Let me see where I'm at here. There's quite a few questions in, so I've got a few more here.
Somebody in the live chat said this. I like this. Okay, so this is, I think Commander had it right about glasses half empty, glasses half full. My position is glasses half full. Most other people are glasses half empty. And Lance's position is that this is Schrodinger's regime, and we're going to find out the status of the cat once the regime finally falls.
Open the damn box.
That's funny. Okay, here we got another one here from It Wasn't Me. For Brit again here. Do you think Russian troops withdrawn from Syria will be finding themselves deployed in Ukraine? I mean,
highly likely. I mean, if they're asking for manpower after they're withdrawing, it just makes perfect sense. It means arrest, go to prison, go to war.
Right.
Cause problem, go to prison, go to war. Conscription.
How many people in the base like that, do you think, Commander?
I've seen numbers between 8 to 12,000, but a lot of them are support personnel. So like, aircraft mechanics, people who repair the ships, people who run the water purification system, et cetera, et cetera. But all of those people can be retrained as cannon fodder.
Yeah, they can go to the front lines tomorrow. And the Russians have a pretty accelerated program, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think all you have to do is know how to put ammunition in the gun and tie your boots, right?
I don't think you have to know the ammunition in the gun. In fact, as far as I can understand it, in some cases, they rather you don't because they assume you're going to inadvertently shoot your commander.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing worth noting is there's a lot of evidence, or anecdotal evidence, I should say, coming out that there are some fairly serious problems with desertion for the Russian forces right now. Now, it's kind of a circular desertion recipe, if you will, where the guys get sent to the front, manage to desert, and they get rounded up in yet another press gang call and sent back to the front. So you get repeat offenders.
Yeah.
But in the past, desertion hasn't been a huge issue in as much as, it's been an issue, but they mow down everybody they literally, and we've seen footage of them chasing down deserters and shooting them. So the fact that deserters are actually getting out and managing to get somewhere, does that signal anything, or is that always been happening because we're talking about it?
I'm going back to the World War II version of the blocking forces. That's what they're called, the security elements that are behind the front line to stop desertion. Initially in World War II, the Soviets were shooting their own people, and they quickly realized that was helping the Germans because you're killing them as opposed to the Germans killing them doesn't do anything to help you. So the idea was round them up, put them back into the front in special units that can be watched closely by security elements at the front so they can't desert again. And I think the current situation at the front right now that's going on is they're transitioning to that. It's more effective to send your deserters back to the front than it is to just shoot them outright.
The movie Gettysburg, Pickett's Charge, they actually had the blocking behind and you could actually see men with swords behind so that anybody from Pickett's Charge who tried to who sat there and said, maybe going into an open field and just trying to be one of the guys who makes it all the way to the end was a good idea. If they turn around, and they actually had them in the movie. They had the guys with the swords. It was like, they weren't, it looks like it's unfortunately, it's a common problem.
Very much. We had Heather in the chat here. Another question for Brit. Perfect timing there. Does the unit have like a counselor, priest, or anybody to help with any, issues and stability and whatnot?
Yes, I'd like to answer that question. When I was in the Legion, we actually did have one assigned to the battalion. Currently, I serve in an all-Ukrainian unit, so I really have to up my language skills. But at the moment, I have not seen it.
Speaking of language skills there, Brit, how are you finding, picking it up and so on? I'm not very good with language as it is, so I'm Slavie will tell you, Nick, I'm terrible at it. It's just...
Yes. So, in terms of training, a lot of it's action, movement, and word association. And then you go home and you write things down, you educate yourself. When it's the only thing you hear around you, it really becomes normal, to be honest. And you don't get things unless you can speak.
Yeah. I guess being completely surrounded by it you're going to catch the patterns of the familiar words and whatnot way quicker than me trying to read through it like a moron.
Well, and when your life is dependent on it, I think your brain picks it
Yeah.
up a lot faster too. You're about to only
Yeah.
certain words. You may not pick up the conversational, but you'll.
Yeah, words like duck. You're going to want that one.
But no, it's why training's very important. Yes.
Yeah. There's a couple more here in the questions room. So this is for everybody here. How much of the money that Biden has access to for Ukraine do you think he'll get through before Trump takes the office? There seems to be quite a few dollar amounts that are just sort of hanging in the ether still.
But we know that a fair amount, he's making an effort right now to push as much stuff as he can before he goes out of office, Biden. The other thing is there are, I won't say reports, but rumors that there are shipments of, quote, hundreds, unquote, of armored vehicles already en route. So I don't know what's really going on. They obviously, for security reasons, won't release details. But I think that he's doing the best he can at the present to clear that logjam of, the $60 billion that was promised, I think, about a year ago, and still most of it hasn't been shipped. I think he's making an effort to push as much of that out as he can. And honestly, we don't know what's going to happen when Trump takes office, whether he's going to completely cut off all the aid, reduce it. He might even increase it. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. That was Heinrich Barty that had asked the question there. So
I want to make clear, I'm not trying to endorse the orange shit given here.
Yeah.
The possibility exists that could occur because there's indicators he's getting increasingly frustrated with some of the stuff Putin is saying and doing. And he's trying to, I think, paint himself in the heroic colors of I'm the man who brought peace to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And Putin's mouthpiece, particularly Lavrov, are doing everything they can to say just the opposite. It's like, give us everything we demanded or the war continues. It's like, dude, you need to make some flexibility or I'm going to get pissed.
Yeah.
Did you see, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, where Putin publicly threatened Trump in one of the speeches? That was...
Yeah. And
keep doing that.
we know that he is really good at holding a grudge.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so.
I think that's essentially Zelensky's team's plan, is that, Trump is not going to deal with Russians. It's not going to be a good relationship, and, it's going to definitely fall apart. That's why, Trump's administration is going to see that any sort of deal with Russia never holds up.
Yeah. We got another question here from Sarah for yourself there, Brit, again. Does your unit have like a pet or anything? She was saying that it seems some do, like as a, therapy and a friend and everything, right?
Yeah, well, often there's always a dog or a wandering cat, and they just have kittens, and you just happen to keep one. And then, it becomes the unit pet. I was staying with a drone team just before I come here, actually. And they had a pet dog, they had a few kittens, and definitely nice to have. I mean, if there's any more questions, please feel free to ask. I really respect you. I respect you all for your support. And thank you.
Awesome. Yes. Keep questions coming in, people. That is a very, very good idea. Where was I? I was going to do a couple of shout outs is what I was going to do. SSW Custom Sewing came in twice. One with a super chat. Thank you, everybody, for supporting Ukraine. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, and yourself as well. And then we had SSW Custom Sewing come in with a direct tip as well for $3.33. Drop it in the Boom Boom Fund. Thank you for supporting Ukraine, everybody. So a double thanks there from SSW. Awesome. Thank you so much. Aussie T with a big shout there in the chat. G'day, the Shills family. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Good shout. And we also had one that's just all I get is this weird nonsense on the screen. So I'll try resetting the browser a couple of times, refreshing the page or whatever, and see if I can't get, it sorted, because I have no idea what it's trying to tell me. But big thanks, everybody. Big thanks. There was another question here. Cheryl was asking to you, Brit. What do you eat when you're out in the front lines and doing your thing?
We eat a bit of food before, we have an energy drink, and then we stop off at the petrol station for a hot dog and a coffee on the way back.
That actually sounds awesome.
It was pretty good.
That's
Do you like hot dogs in Ukraine?
You got to enjoy something, when you're moving around, you get very hungry, and it's very good. Some they even offer you free sometimes, and a free free coffee.
Oh, that's cool. Makes sense. I mean, it really does. That's cool. That's cool. I'm being called away here. So if Nick wants to play hosty role again here, I just need a second. I can't delay anymore. I can tell. I got to.
All right, go. And then I'm going to have to bail. I was literally writing in, I'm going to have to bail soon. And then Dick's like, why don't we just have? It's like, I understand. I'm highly desired as a moderator for reasons I don't understand. All right, so let's see if we have any other questions here, because I now do have access to the back end. I still can't do the heart thing because Dick just doesn't trust me with that kind of power, I guess. Let's see. So we've already talked about Manpower. We've talked about I will ask this question. Everybody I know and I'm friends with wanted Trump to lose. And we were all very disappointed when he won. And obviously half the country was not. Half the country was happy that he won. But not the people in my circles, and not most of the channels that I affiliate with. And so it was, for all of us, a very big shock. And then it was a shock when we found out that there were a number of Ukrainians that were in fact pleased by this, because we just said, well, we sort of see Trump in terms of black and white, and he's going to be terrible for Ukraine no matter what. And now it looks like maybe he's going to do some positive things. We don't know. So how was we've heard a good deal about how Zelensky reacted and some of the civilian reactions to Trump's election. What were the reactions in the military that you saw to Trump's election?
Is this a question for me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, a lot of the Americans I met previously, Trump supporters, they soon were saying they really like Joe Biden and just to send more weapons. I think it's disappointing, but actually there's still great respect for America. In terms of Trump, it's not really thought about amongst the Ukrainians or discussed. It's still going on here, and when things stop, that's when things are majorly discussed. And, until then, I don't really think they're going to worry too much.
I guess that does make sense. I mean, there's things you can think about and occupy your brain with that you can actually do something about. This isn't really one of them.
Like I said, Trump won the election. Oh, did he? I was like, yes.
Yeah. Very much so. What do we got for time here?
Right. I need to bail, so have a good show, rest of you guys. It was a pleasure meeting you, Brit. Thank you. Good to see you all, and I will see you later.
Take it easy, Nick.
Take care.
До побачення.
All right.
До побачення.
All right. So let's see. Yeah, I think right now we're at about a 10-minute warning, because but there's just somebody that's really, really drawing me away, and this is only going to last so much longer now. So, we'll have to have you over again very soon, though, Brit, so we can continue help with fundraising and whatnot. Keep the
fundraising. I'm really happy to.
Yeah, Be great. And maybe you can take a second and just check your account after and see if we have any thanks to give out before the end of the stream here. As I bet there's been a few go through. I'm checking ours right now just to make sure, because at this point, I don't even know if I'm getting the little notifications in. So I'm just going to log in and check. So yeah, we've got a little over.
If I come back off of it.
I'm sorry?
So it would not end the live stream if I went back off of would it not?
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe we should just do a community shout out post or something after. You can just get a hold of me privately after and let me know or whatever, right? That's probably the better idea.
Say my thank you anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, right now I can. I really appreciate you all. I appreciate you all for watching. I appreciate your support. And honestly, I see you have a very good community here. And you've done a very good job, Shills.
Well, thanks. You know, we're doing our best. We try as hard as we can to, you know, be useful and help. It's it's such an awful situation. I can't. I remember that you know, when everything was rolling up, I was like, no, this has got to be some posturing thing. There's no way this is gonna. It started. I couldn't believe it. In this day and age, and now it's even getting worse with all these other. The world is going to shit in a handbag, man. Like holy. But yeah. So. Yeah, I can hear more flustering around and stuff. So what I'm going to do is kick us into our, you know, farewells and whatnot, and we'll do our little wrap ups because I think I've got minutes here. So, Commander, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I'll start with the usual. Please remember to communicate with your elected officials and tell them you support Ukraine and you want them to continue to do so. Every phone call, every text, every email, every letter will make a difference. So please ensure you do that. Secondly, I think it will be very interesting to see how things play out in Syria. I think that will have more of an impact than many of us suspect on what happens with Ukraine. So I would advise the viewership to keep tabs on that situation in Syria.
Yeah. Very much. Good shout. What do you think there, Slavie?
Yeah, I'd like to say kind of ditto on Commander. Keep sharing Ukrainian stories. Keep calling your elected officials. Say that you support Ukraine. You support Ukraine's victory. I like to thank everybody that watches the live stream, that supports Ukraine, everybody that donated. I know people from my channel donated or wanted the link to Britain's fundraiser. So thank you so much for that. Also, big shout out to Tim, my first moderator of the chat. We did get a Russian bot attacked first time for everything, I guess. So yay, it means we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and keep supporting Ukraine. Slava Ukraine.
Hero, Slava. Awesome. Awesome. So yes, and I turn it to yourself there, Brit. What do you think?
Sorry, say that again. I was distracted.
No worries. Your turn. You know, thoughts and wrap ups at the end of the show. Your first live stream on YouTube as well. So, you know, you made it through. Well done, man.
Thank you. No, I was saying to Shills just before, I was slightly nervous. Not like nervous for going on a mission, but there's definitely something building up. And but yeah, moving on. I really, really have to say my thank you to you all that supported, all that helped me, and for your heart being in the right place, honestly. You know, they're very good people in this country, and you're great people yourselves. And yes, my thank you.
Awesome. Well said, man. Well said. Last shout out here, Petra Olsen, Swedish kroners, 129 of them as well, from Sweden. And into the fund it goes, Petra. Thank you so much. She is a huge supporter around here. Absolutely. So Like Commander says, you know, you got to keep bugging local, regional, national levels of government and make sure that your representatives know that you urge support for Ukraine. Absolutely so important. It's not funny, especially in the run up to January 6th, I guess. Huge thanks to everybody who you regularly joins us around here. We got Slavie and Commander left that I can thank, and huge thanks to you, Brit, for joining us and whatnot. I hope we raise some cash. We'll keep working with you in the near future here and see if we can't help out some more. But
Thanks,
yeah,
Slavie. Thanks, Commander. Thank you, Shills. And yeah, it's been my pleasure.
awesome. And thanks to you, everyone, for being here with us, for watching the show, for supporting Ukraine and supporting our guests and their efforts in Ukraine. Thanks for, sharing out our channel. Remember, do all that like, share, and subscribe stuff because it really helps. Huge shout out to our team. We got Annette back. Yay! Her move's pretty much getting near wrapped up. Well, she's probably got, she probably set the cat up before herself. So I bet she still got some stuff going on, right? But and we got Chris Lundy, Liam Wakefield, Janine Terblanche, and Super Chat Matt as well. So big thanks to the team because you can't do a show like this without them, people. You have no idea. I guess we're all done. Only 2 words left to say. Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава.
Slava.
Awesome.
It's over. Go home. Go.